Welcome back. I am Shelby, aka 88 Fox, and we are working on the 88 Fox. So, just kind of wanted to give an update where we're at. I got some parts come in, and yeah, so I got the injectors. The new injector pigtails in, went ahead and soldered those together, and now we've got our injectors hooked up underneath the throttle body with no clearance issues. So that's a really good thing. I went ahead, so I got these from Amazon. They're just the US car injector pigtails. Went ahead and soldered those. As you can see, my little setup over here. Got those done. I haven't done this side yet. There's still just the EV1 to EV6 connectors, but I will get to those soon. Just kind of wanted to state where I'm at. I got all of these coils plugged in and routed, and so here's kind of what it looks like on this side. I gotta just kind of fix some of this up, and then I'm going to be done with that. Now remember that this was a 2-valve 4.6 before it became a 4-valve 4.6. One of the big differences in those, and like for some reason what everybody's scared of, is you have to extend the coil wires and then at the same time flip them, because the polarity of these 4-valve coils is different than the 2-valve coils. So I didn't do that simply because this is utilizing a Ron Francis wiring kit, which goes back to here. And so all I'll have to do is just unplug each of those terminations and just flip them. And then just make a note, right, that I flipped them. And then we're good to go from there. So, yeah, there's the whole wiring kit. Goes all the way up through the dash, and then into the engine bay, and then, yep, standalone wiring kit. Hey, look, Ron Francis box. So, in there is the actual car harness, right? So that's where everything hooks from the ignition, etc. goes into here. I'm gonna do some 3D printing to make better like mount, because that's just kind of flimsy right now. But that's where all that lives, and then it just kind of goes into there, and then there's your fuse box and everything for that. Yeah, so lots of wiring and so on to go forth, but we don't really lack too much with getting the actual car started. Got to just fix this up, get the alternator and everything plugged in. These are all the wires that are left. Let's see. This is all the wiring that's left for the motor, so not much. Just literally plug and play, and then got to swap that over, and yeah, tighten up everything, put some oil in it, and we'll be able to start this puppy. So next time you see it, we'll be getting ready to start it up. Cool. Alright, so it's like a week later. I haven't really had much time to work on the car, but I did get everything plumbed up, and then I worked on it for quite a while to try to figure out how I can get it started. Had quite a few little issues, came up with some snags. Ended up having to, I don't really know where I left off earlier on it, but I had to swap my coil plugs around because they were different polarity, and do a little bit of additional work. I've got some kind of partial vacuum system going on here, but like everything is there, everything is wired. and plumbed up. So yeah, I will go ahead and show you, see if we can, well, I'll go ahead and see if we can get the car to start again. It did start once for me, so we're going to try it again. Let me go ahead and plug my temporary fuel pump power back in here. I'm probably going to end up putting that on a switch. I've got everything to where it's keyed on, the ignition, so on. But I'm probably going to put the ECU and the fuel pump on its own switch, so that I can actually turn them off or turn them on. A three-way switch, kind of a bypass, which would allow me to use a key or just an on and off state. Couple reasons for that, like if I'm doing any tuning or whatever with this ECU, which is a MS3 Pro using Tuner Studio, I'd like to just be able to kind of flip on my accessories and turn the fuel pump off, so that I don't just like keep pushing fuel through there. And then if I just want to do tune on the ECU, like disconnected from the car itself, I would like to just be able to turn ECU power on. So that's probably going to be a future state thing, but here we go. Yeah, so she idles really high. Obviously, I've got some more stuff to figure out, but it does start. It does run. So that is the first step of getting this contraption up and running. So next thing that we're going to do is, while I'm thinking about it, I'm probably just going to go ahead and replace this throttle body, or replace this throttle cable, because this one does not work. I've got a new one over there in one of these boxes, and then get that put in, and then go ahead and try to set my throttle position on the actual tune itself, so that at least I can just have that done and knocked out. Following that, I'm going to go ahead and try to clean up a little bit of the wiring here, just kind of tuck it in, get some stuff done, so that I can just kind of polish this, be done with it, so that I know that everything is feng shui over there. Another reason it probably idled really high, it doesn't know its air to fuel ratio. I don't have any of the wide bands plugged up, so get those installed, start routing, or then I'm going to punch the return line or return feed into the oil pan, plumb up the turbo setup, and then start looking at trying to get this thing tuned and buttoned up. One thing I did notice when I was messing with it before is like in neutral, the wheels were still like spinning a little bit, not fast, but they were spinning, which is kind of weird. I don't know what caused that. The car is in neutral, but who knows? Just going to have to. Hey, hi Odin. What's up, baby? Come here. Come here. Hi, puppers. Shop dog. Shop dog. It's Odin. You dummy. That's what you get. Go do something. Yeah, anyways, yeah, lots of work to still be done. But you will be on for the ride. Cool, thanks. Alright, so now we are going to be punching the drain hose connector for our turbo kit. I'm going ahead and using the Vortec supercharger instructions on how to do this, where it wants you to punch the hole and then tap it out, and you have to go from the middle of this bolt over 1 7/8 inch and then go down from the base of the pan down 5/8 of an inch. So I already did that once, marked it, and then I went ahead and got the wire wheel after it, cleaned it up, and then I made my hole. So I'm going to start punching right there and just kind of work my way in. I'm going to be reading the instructions as I go along, so yeah, here we go. you can see right here, we got some threads in there. Cool. Now, that fitting fits in there. Like so. We'll just have to figure out how to, what kind of thread sealant or whatever we're wanting to use there. And then probably add a layer of silicone. The thing is, like, it's not perfectly straight. So when I tighten it down, we'll kind of see if we can get it to where it's just perfectly flush on there. But right now it's not there. I think that's okay though. I've heard a lot of people say that, I've been reading a lot about this the last couple of weeks. Most people say no big deal. Just make sure you got the proper thread sealant, etc. I guess we'll find out once I, get there. If all else absolutely fails, I'm not pulling the motor. If all else absolutely fails, then we will drop the K member and get another oil pan, which I've got 3 of them, and we will weld a bung on this thing. But that's if this does not work, if I can't get it to work. Cool. We'll call that done for now, and then on to the next part, which is going to be, we're going to go ahead and start plumbing the turbo setup up, and then get the oil feed and drain hooked up. We'll do a test fire to get it started, make sure there's no leaks. If there are any leaks, then we'll try to address them right then and there. We're going, instead of using like an oil or a oil filter reload kit, we'll just be taking this port out right here, and that will be, and then we will run a line to the top of the turbo, and that'll be our oil feed. So oil feed coming from here, going to the top of the turbo, and then the turbo, which sits somewhere around here, will drain, well, maybe up here, will just drain directly into here. Alright, carrying on. Alright, so I'm not sure where we left off with the last part of this, but I did get the hot side of the turbo hooked up, got the feed and return lines hooked up. Oh yeah, I think I left it off when I tapped the oil pan and got that done. So yeah, there you go. Everything's hooked up. I did bang these up when I was building them, so whatever, sue me. I did originally have a oil filter relocation kit on here, but once I looked through the manual to kind of see how to tap the oil pan, which was the Vortec manual, it said if you've got this kind of oil filter housing, just use the bottom port. So the bottom port's a 3/8 NPT, I believe, to a well, that's the fitting, and then so I put a 4AN fitting, which is the same as the one up here, 3/8 to or 4AN adapter and then just made a 4AN line. Then that's a 10AN fitting down to a 10AN line. So just so you can see it start up, let's go ahead and start it up. Okay, yeah, I didn't want to run it for long. Oh, that's bright. Because I really need to, discount, double check the fittings, make sure nothing's leaking, which I didn't see anything, nothing's dripping, so probably pretty good there. But yeah, that's it right now. So I meant to measure a belt, haven't done that yet. I'm going to get a belt on it, and then I'm actually going to go ahead and start putting the front end back on it, and then put the cooling system in it, or on it, so that I can figure out exactly how to get this how this intercooler piping, cold side, whatever you want to call it, it's going to hook up and go. So I don't know if I explained it or not, but this was a used turbo kit that the guy installed, and then I forgot what happened. I guess the cylinder wall was too tight on his motor that he had just built and put everything together, and when he went through the first start, the motor seized up on him, or some story like that. But anyways, I got the whole turbo kit and a spare motor for $1,000. So this is a $1,000 total turbo kit that I am installing, and thus far it's pretty good. Now the problem is, when you look at this kit, I had it hooked up, as you can maybe tell. I just kind of pulled it back apart. I had it hooked up kind of, sort of. But you see these 90-degree boots that we got going on here. That stuff is not very good. And then you got one, well, I don't know what's the deal with that right there. But those boots are not good for high horsepower setups. Maybe to get everything kind of functioning and going and operating, they'll be okay. But sooner, probably rather than later, I'll have to get either some custom piping made or something. I was watching a Motion Raceworks video the other day. I'm actually probably going to link it in this description, because it was really good when it talked about turbo piping. It was couplers are fine to use for anything unless you're doing dragsters and stuff, but silicone couplers are fine to use along with these T clamps, but they warned highly against 90s and stuff like that, because they can balloon out under heavy boost. But yeah, I at least to get it started, I think we'll be all right. But I do definitely feel that I agree. I don't want to have 90s, so we'll see where we're going to go from there. But just to get this going, I'm going to go ahead and try to use what I got. The only thing that's missing out of this whole kit is a coupler for that side of the intercooler right there. So if we get lucky, maybe everything will just bolt up. Oh, it looks like we're, what is that? Oh, that's just condensation. Good. Oh, coming out of the, okay, the wastegate thingamajigger. Cool. I'm fine with that. As long as there's no oil leaking. Down here, I'm going to have to spray this off because when I took that fitting out, I had to just kind of wrestle the new stuff in there, so we'll see. What I don't like about that being down there, now that I'm, sorry, I got like some undiagnosed ADD sometimes, so I can really quickly switch what I'm talking about. What I don't like about this being down here is like, look at how close that is to the road, right? That's just a little bitty line. Yeah, I don't know if I like that being there. But for now, it is okay. Cool. Alright, so once again, I'm going to put the front end on now, and then put the cooling system in. And I'm going to get a belt put on this, and then I think at that point I'm going to try to run it until it gets up to operating temperature. That'd be a first. Alright, we'll be back. Okay, so I got the radiator in. I didn't film that part because I had to clean this radiator out, so I spent about 2 hours just cleaning it out. I was going to film that, but it was actually kind of embarrassing. The car's been sitting for, man, a long time, so all the stuff was just rusted in there, but I flushed it out quite a few times, used some solvent to get some of the crap out. And anyways, it'll do for now, I guess. This radiator's like pretty old. Had it back when I still had the 306 in here. But shout out to Mishimoto for dealing with customers that don't maintain their stuff. But anyways, had to take the second electric fan off to be able to get clearance for the turbo in there. Yeah, I mean, it's just zip tied up right now, but super tight. Yeah, let's see, you've got about 1 inch of clearance there. I don't know if this is gonna end up working later on, so I might have to get like one of those half radiators or something in the future. But while I was waiting for that solvent to do its work, I put the On3 performance little coolant crossover delete replacement kit thing on, and look at that tolerance between the actual AN fitting for the coolant and then the AN fitting for the fuel rail. I mean, that's super tight, super tight. But yeah, here we are. So I am going to, I don't know, I think I'm going to see if we can get this cold side plumbed up without having to do much more, without having to do any kind of fitting in here. I mean, the bumper's not like on, it's just kind of chilling. I got some damage over here that I got to figure out how we're going to do this. I think I'm just going to end up bolting that together. Those little pieces are messed up, but yeah, work in progress. So maybe we can get the cold side plumbed up, and then everything will work nice and well with each other, and then we can finish plumbing up the coolant system and see if we can actually get this thing to run and not overheat. Cool. Alright, so what I was afraid of is that none of this shit's gonna work. So I might be able to keep this, but I still don't even like that. Here we go. Check the fit. So this potentially might be okay. I'm still not like a fan of any of these 90-degree fittings or silicone couplers. We'll have to, I'm probably just gonna end up going and getting somebody to do all this, fabricate all the cold side for me. And if we're gonna go ahead and go that route, I'm gonna get a bigger intercooler. We're gonna go with no 90-degree silicone couplers, and yeah. But anyways, I don't have a pipe to go there. That was the original pipe that was supposed to fit. I don't even know what this came off of. Looks like I can maybe just cut it and it could work, and then I'd have to, I can't remember what the terminology is for this, but do that. But we'll see. And then this doesn't fit at all. So I had like this little extension on it that didn't work. So I took that off to just see if I could fit that turbo outlet or inlet in there, and I couldn't get it around any of this. So there might be actually an opportunity to go ahead and cut this exhaust and then come straight or come curved like that in there, and then we might be able to get that to fit. But even then, this also has a 90-degree coupler, which I do not want. I want just straight silicone couplers, to prevent any kind of bubbling up, blowing out. So I think that I'm going to go ahead and get with a person I know and see about doing some custom cold side. I did actually contact a company that develops some turbo stuff and asked them if they would sell me just a cold side and see if I could fabricate it or get it to work. And a couple of email responses later, they said, "I don't sell partial kits," and that was the end of the email. Not even a "Hi, how's it going?" So whatever. We'll get something fabricated. I mean, still looks pretty cool though. Chilling. All right. We last left off with me talking about the intercooler and cold side piping. I found somebody that's going to do that for me. So yay! But it's going to be a month before they're going to be able to do that. So in turn, I'm trying to get some other stuff knocked out. So what we've done is, yeah, we got all the oil lines routed. Now we've got the upper radiator mount done, or coolant system set up with a 180 degree Chevy thermostat in there. Got a temporary flexible lower radiator hose. I don't know what we're going to do in the end with that. And a beat up old Mishimoto radiator. So now, oh yeah, and then also I got my wideband hooked up so that it can deliver somewhat decent information to the ECU regarding my air to fuel ratio. And then now we are going to try to see if we can get this thing to do a heat cycle. Since this does use MS3 Pro, the fan control is done via the computer. So we just have a little temporary setup here to see if we can get the fan to cycle on and push enough air to cool it down. And yeah, do a heat cycle. So that's what we're gonna do. As long as everything ends up looking all right and we don't have any leaks, then we can go ahead and state that she'll be ready to, you know, maybe cruise down the road once we get, you know, all the cold side piping and all that stuff done. So yeah, that's next. Let you know. All right, so it's been actually quite a few days since the last update. I know in the video y'all are seeing very next, but yeah, we've done some changes. Essentially, I couldn't get it to heat cycle, and my reasoning behind why I wouldn't heat cycle was that the fan just was not powerful enough. So what did we do? I went ahead and moved everything back. So the fan has been moved, or the radiator has been moved to this side, opposite it was this side. I also got the intercooler mounted up. Let me turn on light here. And then in turn we managed to be able to put that second fan back in. So now we have both fans running. So you're going to be watching this way afterwards, but I posted a TikTok where I had the water explode out of here. So figured out what the reason was. I just did not have the radiator cap tightened up good enough. But you know, it is what it is. So the light is bright. So I got fresh coolant and mostly water. Let's just be honest, mostly water with a little bit of coolant in there. Ran it through just still could not get it to heat cycle. So I, at this point, am wondering, what's really going on. So my fan was turning on at about 195 degrees, which it was set at 185, according to Tuner Studio. So that made me question, if there was a problem. And yes, I do believe there is a problem. So the next step for me is I am going to do some troubleshooting on the fan. Now, why am I going to do some troubleshooting on the fan? Because when the fan turns on, I don't think it is kicking out the amount of I forget what the terminology is, but it's not as powerful as it should be. I unhooked the fan and put it on a straight 12-volt supply, and those fans are loud and powerful. Well, not too loud, but they're very powerful. When I hooked it back, got it up to that operating temperature, and they finally kicked back on, they were not so loud. Even over the exhaust, I should still have been able to hear them pretty good, and I could not. Did some messing around in Tuner Studio and could not get the fans to come on pretty much no matter what I did, setting it at below ambient temperatures, etc., etc. So, I think that we have an issue with the fan control itself. And also, I do not think that the fan control is giving it a full 12 volts. So, I have to troubleshoot this. Unfortunately, I don't want to keep cycling on and cycling off the the ignition in order to be able to burn to the ECU and then so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up a temporary switch for now, which is going to go between the power of the ECU and the ignition switch, which is going to go between the power supply of it and the ECU, and just put a little toggle switch in there so I can quickly reset the ECU, bring it back up, check and see if we're getting anywhere. So once I figure that out and figure out the fan situation, then we will try another heat cycle. And then hopefully at that point I will be able to tell you that we were successful. But no matter what happens, I need to get this thing buttoned up within the next 2 days, because I am sending it to a guy to fabricate my cold side and do the full exhaust. Well, not the full exhaust, but do the exhaust for the car. So one way or another, the car is going to be going to the shop here pretty soon. So yeah, I'll let you know if we get its heat cycle. If not, I'll just let you know when we get everything bolted back up and go from there. All right, we have good news. So the car did heat cycle only one time though, before it was spitting out too much coolant. So I just had to do it. It's one time, verified everything was good, and then yeah, was happy with that. So yeah, it was a little nerve-wracking when that radiator cap blew, because I thought I had it on all the way, but after thinking about it, it wasn't. The only thing else would be overpressure of the system, and that's typically caused by head gasket issues. This being a new motor, that's very scary, but the fact that we went through a heat cycle, it didn't explode, we're good. So yeah, I finished mounting the bumper, got it on the ground, so there's kind of how it sits. So I did drain the coolant back out of it. because, well, I didn't have any coolant in it. It was just water. And then kind of flushed it out a little bit as well, so that we can, when it comes back, we can put fresh coolant and all that stuff in it. Yeah, so next place it's off to is to a local guy that is going to do the intercooler turbo piping. He's also going to do the blow-off valve and the wastegate, and then he is going to do the, I would call it a downpipe, but it's straight up just going to be exhaust coming from the outlet of the turbo directly to the fender well. Yeah. And then when I get it back, I'll have to take the front end back, or completely back off. And then we're going to clean up any of this little, like, surface rust. I got a lot of it off already, but any little surface rust that remains, do the kind of final fitment of the lower radiator and intercooler brackets, because they are, if you can see, I've just kind of got them welded and hung up here. But what I want to do is, this bottom bracket isn't the most supportive, so I'm going to bolt it straight up to the bumper support as well. And then that way, that whole area is cleaned up. Once that's finished up, everything's going to get a nice coat of paint on it, so that it doesn't rust anymore. I gotta do some different stuff with the light wiring here, and then I've got to bolt the fender, or the bumper and everything back into its final resting place. Like, see, I got like this gap here. It's a race car, but at the same time I want it to look good, so there's going to be a lot of little minor work that still needs to be done, but should be ready pretty soon to rock and roll. Let's see, on the inside here, I've got some wire cleanup to do. It's a mess in here. I've got to rewire the DDEFI gauge cluster, and also add the expansion module in there, which is going to allow me to see like fuel level and all that good stuff. Got some cleanup to do back here, and then I've got to add my other wideband in, that way I can see air fuel on both sides. That looks like crap, so I got to clean that up, and then figure out something to put over the top of that, and then get an actual shifter. And then, yeah, I don't think I'm going to re-add much interior, but I do want to clean this up. So haven't got that far yet. Gonna get a new steering wheel. In the back here, everything's pretty much done. This battery is just a temporary battery in here. We'll put a different battery in there and bolt it down, secure it. The only thing that's really going to cost more money is I need to do something about the rear suspension. Everything on the rear is just stock, minus the built rear end that's in it. So stock upper, lower control arms, no torque boxes, no nothing. So there's some work to be done there, but I digress. Yeah, it starts and runs. Everything works on it, so I'm pretty happy with where we're at this far. Here comes Odin. What do you want? Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. I don't know exactly how long it's going to take to get the turbo piping and everything done. The guy that's doing it, he just kind of does this on the side. He used to build race cars and everything, and showed me some pictures and videos and stuff that he did. So, and he's local, so I'll be able to go check on him and bug him pretty often. But hopefully we'll get it done pretty quick, and then we'll be able to finalize some stuff and get this thing off to Gearhead Performance, have them do a real tune on it, and then go from there. Yeah. So please like, subscribe, share, all those good things. Tell me what you think I can do better. If you've got rear end suspension stuff for a Foxbody, let me know. I might take that off your hands if the price is right. So, yeah. Cool. Well, until next time, y'all take it easy.